As I've been covering the Karmelo Anthony case, I often find myself asking the same question. How and why does this little organization that is representing Karmelo, how and why do they exist? What service do they provide? Why are they even a thing? What do they really do? How do they exist? Why do they exist? What purpose are they really serving? I often find myself coming back to that question. Because for the life of me, I really just don't understand what this organization really does. The NGAN network, or whatever they call themselves. You've heard the baby beater Dominique Alexander name his organization 50 million times if you've been following this case, because that's all he does. Every other word out of his mouth is him name dropping his organization. But why and how do they exist? I understand that they're race baiters. I understand that they like to stir up racial issues. I understand that they like to take advantage of families like Karmelo Anthony's family, for example. I understand that, but outside of that, what is the purpose of them existing? And how do they have this network that I guess employs people, and they do this, they do that? What are they really doing here? Because I've been following this case very closely. I've looked at all of the statements made by this spokesman, the baby beater Dominique Alexander. I've been watching his social media. I've been following along very closely. And up until this point, as of right now, I have yet to really find solid evidence that this dude and that this organization that he has, I have yet to find solid evidence that they really have supporters. Like, I've reacted to a lot of his social media posts right here on this channel for you all. 9 times out of 10, the dude has barely any likes, and his comment sections are just nothing but people crapping all over him. No support at all. And he boasts and he brags about this organization and all of their accomplishments, but in order to be a successful organization, you need supporters. They do not have that. And that little rally that they did not have a permit for, that they tried to hold last weekend, that's proof that they don't have support. No one showed up to that thing. So not only is the support non-existent on social media, it's non-existent in the streets as well. Now, I've had a couple of people reach out to me that claim they live in the Dallas area. And they say that a lot of the black community out there, they are over Dominique Alexander. They want nothing to do with him. From what I'm hearing from black people who live in Dallas, they say that a lot of the black people around there, they already know about this guy. They're over him. They're tired of him. They want nothing to do with him. And that's why no one showed up to his rally. Now, obviously, I don't live there, so I can't personally speak on these things. But that's what I'm hearing through the grapevine. That a lot of the black community out there, they're like, they don't want... they view this guy as a joke, and they're already up on game about who he is and how he acts and how he tries to insert himself in these situations and tries to gain from it. So a lot of the black community in Dallas, they don't even want nothing to do with this guy. But I guess the only purpose that this organization would serve is to, I guess, be some sort of outlet or some sort of support system for the black community. But it turns out a lot of the black community, they don't want nothing to do with this guy. And that's why no one's showing up to his rallies. That's why he gets no support on social media. And there's a lot of stuff coming out about this guy, and there's a lot of stuff coming out about this organization. We know he's a fake minister. We know he has a fake security team, and this fake security team is illegally providing security to different people, including Karmelo Anthony's family. And once that got exposed, this little network, this organization released a statement. And I kid you not, they released a statement and they got a whopping 4 likes on X. They released a statement claiming that they're fighting back against misinformation, right? Because a lot of stuff is getting exposed. So they tried to respond, and you know how social media works. There's people on both sides. You would think that they would have at least some people rallying around them. We know Karmelo had a lot of people rallying around him. We know that a large portion of the black community, they supported Karmelo, but that support for Karmelo does not transition into support for Dominique Alexander and his organization. So you would think that with all the support Karmelo had, that at the very least, some people would be stepping up to defend Dominique Alexander. They would be liking his social media posts. They would be commenting on what he says, but they're not. They're just nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found at all. And I've been following this case since the beginning. I've read every social media post, and I'm all in the comments looking, and there's barely, if any, support. And the statement that they just released to combat the information about fake security and stuff, there was not a single positive comment. Not a single one. You can go look yourself. Maybe you'll find one. I looked. I read over 70 comments. There was not a single positive comment. And the post got 4 likes. But here, I'm going to read you all the statement that they released. It's a BS statement, and I guess we're used to that by now. But before I dive into the statement, if you guys support the channel, if you like the videos, consider supporting the channel in one of many ways. You could like the video, you could comment, you could subscribe, you could share the video. All of those things are free, easy, quick, and it helps the channel out a lot. But if you want to take your support one step further, if you want to keep the lights on around here, because this platform doesn't like people speaking the truth, you can always donate via Cash App or Super Thanks. It helps a lot, and it is greatly appreciated. But let's go ahead and dive into this statement, shall we? Official statement from the Next Generation Action Network. Now, I just want to point out that if you're starting an organization to, I don't know, like support the black community, maybe you shouldn't name it NGA. NGAN? I don't know. I just feel it's kind of weird, but let's go ahead. Over the past several weeks, our organization has endured a series of calculated attacks built on falsehoods, misinformation, and falsified investigations. These lies are being spread by individuals and platforms with deep ties to white supremacy, masquerading as journalists while intentionally distorting the truth. Let's go ahead and pause right there. Always immediately accusing people of being white supremacists because they don't agree with you, or because they're pointing out that you beat up babies, or they're speaking the truth. You see, this is why those titles, those labels, they hold no weight. They don't hold any weight anymore. If you accused someone of being racist 15, 20 years ago, that would have been a big deal. It maybe actually would have meant something. But now, if you disagree with someone in the slightest bit, oh man, you're worse than Hitler. Oh my God, you're this, you're that, you're this and that. And once you stop allowing these titles, these names to hold any power over you, then and only then will you be free to not only be yourself, but to speak your mind. There's nothing wrong with speaking the truth. And if someone calls you racist or a bigot or this or that for speaking the truth, then oh well. I'd rather be on the side of truth than to be siding with idiots who are all afraid of being called a bad name. Who cares? It's 2025. Go ahead and throw those labels on me. I'll wear them as a badge of honor. I don't care. And neither should you. But he thinks, Dominique Alexander and this organization, they think they could just drop it's white supremacist. If you have a problem with me beating up babies and lying about literally everything, it's because you're a big bad racist. And no one cares anymore. Maybe this will work on some of the low IQ ghetto people that he's pandering to, but it doesn't work on anyone else. But of course, that's how every time he releases a statement, every time he opens his mouth, he has to start out there. He has to start out with, let me go ahead and set up race. Let me go ahead and blame racism and white supremacy before he even gets started, because he wants that to be the first thing in people's minds. These low IQ idiots that can't think for themselves and all they think about is racism and white people bad, he knows that he could just automatically trigger them right from the get-go. And then everything else he says, it doesn't matter if it's complete BS, because these low IQ idiots are already triggered by, oh my God, it's white supremacist and racist. So that's a tactic that people like him use. It's a tactic that doesn't work in the way that it used to. But let's keep going forward. Let us be clear. These attacks are not just about NGAs. These attacks are not just about NGANs. They are about trying to silence a movement. They are about discrediting real work, real wins, and real people who have committed their lives to the pursuit of justice. What real work is this guy doing? Other than getting on a microphone and complaining about white people at a park filled with nobody, what work has this guy done? Other than attacking Austin Metcalf's dad and stuff like this, or stuff like that, this guy has done absolutely nothing. There's no real work being put in. But let him tell it, oh my God, they're silencing a movement. They're discrediting real work. Real work of just blaming everyone for being racist when we don't get our way. That's real work. Let's go forward. They have targeted our staff. They have weaponized misinformation. They have fabricated claims with no basis in fact, but we are not new to this. We are trained for this moment. Let me pause right there. No, you're not. In fact, you're not trained for this moment. And that's why you're releasing this statement. You're releasing this statement because it turns out your security does not have the proper training and they're not licensed. You are not trained for this moment. If this guy and this network was really trained for this moment, they would know how to better respond. But instead, every time they release a statement, they get ratioed to high hell. Everyone points their fingers at them and they laugh at them. And then people like me make videos about it so you all can laugh at it too. Everyone basically views this guy and this organization as a complete joke. I was of the understanding that, at least he had some support out in Dallas, Texas, where he is that, I was under the belief that he at the very least had some local support, right? Like people would show up if he organized the protest, but it turns out I was wrong about that. So this guy has nothing. And as I've been explaining, he's trying to fake it until he makes it, but it's just not working. He's being turned into a laughingstock, a clown, a joke. But let's go forward. We are trained for this moment. We were built for this battle, and we will not waver. For over a decade, the Next Generation Baby Beating Network has stood on the front lines, fighting babies. We have stood on the front lines, fighting for the voiceless, standing in the gap for families in crisis, and challenging systems that were never designed to protect us. Our track record speaks louder than any lie ever could. From legislative victories to direct advocacy, our impact is undeniable. That's exactly why we are being targeted, because we are effective, because we represent power, progress, and people. To our supporters, we want you to know that the NGANs operates with transparency and integrity. If you have a question, ask. If you have a concern, bring it forward. But what we won't do is be bullied, intimidated, or silenced by those trying to protect the status quo. We don't just fight injustice, we confront it head on. We don't just talk about change, we live it. And we will never stop until justice belongs to all of us. And what does that even mean? I wonder if the black community ever looks at these leaders of their community, these speakers of their community, people who prop themselves up as if they represent all black people, like in the way Dominique Alexander does. I wonder if the community ever presses people like this. And they ask them, hey, what does this mean? What does that mean? You know what I mean? Because when you say it's not going to end until we all have justice. It's not going to end until there's total justice for everyone. Justice belongs to us all. What in the hell are you even talking about when you say things like this? You see, people like Dominique Alexander, they say stuff like this because they think it sounds good to stupid people. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world, but I'm definitely smarter than the people who are supporting Dominique. So when I look at the statements he makes, it all looks like complete ridiculous hogwash mumbo jumbo. There's nothing of substance in this entire statement that we just read, or I just read for you all. This was supposed to be his response, his reply to all of the accusations that are out there about him being a fake minister and about his security team not being licensed and them being fake. But if you notice, he'll say things like, if this doesn't end until all of us get justice. He'll say ridiculous stuff like that means nothing but sounds powerful to weak people. But he did not address any of the allegations against him. He did not prove that he was a minister. He did not prove that his security team is licensed and real. In fact, he didn't even specifically mention that stuff because he wants to give his low IQ supporters, which I can't find any, the impression that he's fighting back and he's battling back and he's standing up against the lies. But if you are going to stand up against lies, then why not provide the truth? Why not provide proof that, hey, I am a minister, here's proof. Hey, my security is licensed, here's proof. Instead, he just says, all of y'all are white supremacist, racist, and you're just trying to stop the black man and hold us down. And he expects that to work. And like I said, I know it works for some of the idiots that are supporting Karmelo, but it doesn't work for anyone else outside of that. And I think even some of the idiots that are supporting Karmelo, I think they're even like, man, what are you even talking about, dude? But like I said, you can go into the comments of these posts that are made by this NGA network or whatever. There's not a single positive comment ever. At most, they maybe get 3 or 4 likes, and those are probably from troll accounts as well. In fact, here's a comment right here. These attacks are not just about NGAN. They are about trying to silence a movement. Yeah, a bowel movement. You are being racist yourself, fool. You think everyone who doesn't agree with what you do is a white supremacist? It's not bullying. There is truth. This organization is no better than the Klan. Your organization is corrupt. You have failed to effectively dispute any of the facts stated about you. Calling them attacks is laughable. If you cannot refute them, then they must be true. You're just mad the truth is getting out. As usual, con men using their own race as a hustle. The fatigue is real. And there's just, you could go through the entire comment section. It's nothing but negative comments. Nothing but negative comments everywhere. Not a single positive comment in sight. Not a single supporter in sight. And this is why I keep asking myself the same question every couple of days. How and why does this organization exist? At the very least, I thought this organization must be propped up by some supporters locally or something, but that doesn't seem to be the case either. So there's definitely, and we already know this, there's definitely a lot of shady stuff about this organization. But I think it may even go deeper than anyone knows as of yet. And trust me, it runs deep. There's things that I have not even gotten a chance to talk about yet. There's so much. But I think there's even more. I really do think there's even more. And I'm hoping that this organization gets fully exposed before the next Karmelo Anthony happens. Before they have another opportunity to take advantage of another situation, another tragedy, and another family. Because what these people want is chaos and disruption. And they've been trying their best to cause chaos and to cause disruption. And so far, it has not worked out in their favor. But one day, maybe it will. And we gotta hope and we gotta try to stop that day from ever happening. And that's why I make these videos. That's why it's important that you guys spread the word about all of the stuff that we've been talking about. But for now, I want to hear from you all. What do you all think about this? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon in the next one.